Hey guys, so for today's video, I am doing my nails for my birthday. To start off, I'm just going in and wiping them all off with some alcohol, and then I am applying primer to all of the nails because it had been a couple days between me applying the nails to me finally doing the nail art. So I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't any like oils or anything from like lotions or soaps and stuff left over on the nail that could interfere with the gel polish sticking onto it. So I just did a real quick wipe down and then applied the primer. So I was going to use that darker blue, but I felt like it didn't really go with what I was doing. So what I'm doing, I should probably tell you what I'm doing here. I am painting Van Gogh's Starry Night on my left hand here, and like I said, I was going to paint all of the nails with that darker blue at first, but it was a little too dark. So then I decided to go in with this blue. I think it's called Game Over from Nails by Dev. I just did one coat of this because I just wanted to have a base down on the nails, so that way when I did go in with the nail art, if there were any tiny little gaps or anything where the nail art on top didn't cover the nail, you wouldn't really be able to tell because there is this blue base on the nails. It wouldn't just be a clear nail you're seeing through the nail art. It'll make sense when I start doing the actual nail art why I did this blue base and what I mean by if it's not like the nail art isn't fully covering the nail. I do have this video sped up quite a bit because it took me a long time to do these nails. It took me like 20 minutes for each nail, so I had, you know, like what, an hour and a half, a little over an hour and a half of footage, and even with cutting it down and like cutting out unnecessary parts and like stuff that doesn't need to be in the video, it was still super long. So I did go ahead and speed it up quite a bit. I feel like even with it being sped up, you can still tell what I'm doing in the video. Like, it's not sped up so much to where you can't really see what's going on or what I'm doing. But I did just want to mention that it is sped up quite a bit because this was a long video. This was a long process to do these nails, but it was super fun. I don't show myself doing my thumb throughout this video. I did that all off camera just because I have to hold my hand at a weird angle, and like I'm always off camera whenever I'm doing my thumb anyhow, so or like out of frame whenever I'm doing my thumb, so I just didn't film that. Then these are all the colors that I had pulled out. I'm using some Nails by Dev colors, some ball pit colors, some Madam Glam colors, which I do have a discount code for Madam Glam if you are interested in purchasing anything from them. But anyhow, I just pulled out a bunch of colors that looked like they would go well and like match the colors of the actual Starry Night painting. I wasn't sure if I was going to use all of the colors or if it would be necessary for me to use some of them, but I did just want to pull them all out just so I could have them out in case I did need to use them. And I did end up using every single color that I had pulled out. So starting here on the pinky nail, I'm just starting with the moon, and I was able to just go right over that blue with that yellow, no problem. I did only do one coat of that yellow. I did cure it before going in and doing anything else, and I realized after curing it I shouldn't have cured it because it kind of messed up the look of the actual painting. Like the moon and like the light burst around the moon look kind of disconnected, whereas if you look at the stars on the other nails when I do those, or even like the sky part and like the hill or the ground that's going across the nails, like it all just kind of melts and blends into each other, whereas the moon, like I said, it kind of is disconnected because I did cure it first and I wasn't able to blend it into that little like light burst moon beam, whatever you want to call it. So to do everything, because the technique or the style of art that this painting is called oh my gosh, impressionism. I struggle saying that word. So it's like tiny little strokes to create the bigger picture. So that's basically what I'm doing for this entire set. I'm just taking my brush here. This is a 9mm liner brush. And this brush that I'm using is from Ball Pit. I do go back and forth between using the brushes from Nails by Dev and the brushes from Ball Pit. The brushes from Ball Pit are a tiny bit thicker than the ones from Nails by Dev, and I felt like having that little bit of extra thickness would help with this set and like this nail art, because I was able to pick up more polish than I would have been able to with the Nails by Dev brush, and I just felt like it was going to be a little bit easier to get those like little brush strokes that you see on the art. And you could see there that I did mix up a little bit of a darker color there. You can kind of see like the colors that I'm picking up, and when I'm picking them up, they're off to the side. You can't really see my entire palette. I did mix up some extra colors. I think I also ended up pulling out an orange color later on to add to like the stars and stuff, to give them a little more extra dimension, because I was adding so many other colors to create dimensions for everything else that the stars were just kind of feeling flat being just the yellow. The moon is also just the yellow and it also looks pretty flat. So there are that I could have, like I said, I shouldn't have cured the moon before going in with anything else, but I was thinking originally that I was going to flash cure in between doing certain things to make sure that nothing was getting messed up, but that kind of doesn't really work for this particular nail art and like this technique here, because like I said, it's all these tiny little like brush strokes and like dashes and stuff, and you really want to keep those brush strokes in there and make it look like you can see like all the tiny little brush strokes that you did. And the best way to do that is to keep everything wet. So do kind of like a wet on wet technique with the gel polish and just layer the colors on top of each other without curing, and just kind of go back and forth really quickly with your liner brush. You can kind of see here what I'm doing. I do hold my hand at different angles so you can see it better at certain points, and then like depending on what nail I'm working on, you can see my hand is a little bit in the way right now, but like I said, you can kind of see, and you just kind of go back and forth between the colors and layer them and add them where you feel like they needed to be added to create the look of the I am struggling so hard to say that right now. Van Gogh, his art style was, he was an impressionist painter, which again, like I said, it's just like the brushstroke type of like the little brushstrokes. I've done this painting so many times with so many different mediums throughout like school, because it was part of the curriculum and stuff for the art classes that I was taking. I've done it with paint. I've done it with like colored pencils, markers, oil pastels, and it's all the same. Like, you're just doing tiny little dashes to create the effect that Van Gogh had with like most of his paintings. All of his, I don't even think it's all of his paintings, but like most of them. Starry Night, the sunflowers. I'm trying to think. What else? The skull one isn't really. Is the blue room? I think the blue room or the room one is. I can't remember. Anyhow, that's besides the point. Because I'm doing the Starry Night right now. I've also had to do like other paintings or like not paintings, but like art with this type of style. Like, I had to do a whole study on this art style for a class that I took in high school. I took my senior year, pretty much all of my classes were art classes. I had like painting, sculpting, ceramics, art history. I did digital art. Yeah, like I said, basically pretty much every class that I had my senior year, because I had already, well, my second semester of senior year, because I had already, like, gotten all my credits to be able to graduate. I just decided to take a bunch of easy classes that I don't want to say didn't matter, because they did matter. They matter to me because, like, art's kind of my thing. But, like, you know, classes that you don't have to take, they're not really a requirement. They're more just, like, you know, for fun, kind of. Or, like, your interest to kind of help you in the long run when it comes to, you know, going to, when you go to college or, like, your career or whatever. So, anyhow, I decided I just wanted to have a easy last half of senior year, so I just did a bunch of art classes because I knew that was going to be easy for me. It wasn't going to be super stressful, and I could just have fun for the last half. So I took a bunch of different art classes, and we did a couple. I had to do a few different things with the impressionist style, and I've also done a few other ones throughout my years of life, if that makes any sense. I think every year that I've taken art, we had to do like an impressionist type of drawing or painting or something. And it's actually one of my favorite type of art styles. I also really like abstract art, if you couldn't tell from all of my videos that are on my channel. I mean, not all of them, but most of them. I really like abstract art. I also, like I said, really love the impressionist style of art. One of my favorites. Actually, what I'm gonna do on my right hand is also an impressionist painting. Both hands are going to be based off of two of my favorite paintings ever, Starry Night being one of them. And actually, it took me so long to figure out what I was going to do for my birthday nails. I've been trying to figure it out since like January. And I had so many different ideas and I just wasn't really liking them. I remember the, like, you know, those 3D balloons and like the cake nails and everything were trending. I think end of last year, beginning of this year or whatever. And I was like, oh, that would be cool to do. But by the time my birthday rolls around, like, that's not really gonna be in style anymore, like trendy anymore. Not that I really care about following trends. I usually don't anyhow. So I was just kind of struggling, and then a couple weeks ago, actually, I don't know why or like how it hit me, but it just hit me all of a sudden that I was going to do this for my birthday nails. Last year I did the blue junk nails for my birthday nails, and then the year before that I did the full bling nails, and then I can't remember what I did the year before. And then one year I did like a black and gold set with like a bunch of rhinestones, and I did like a chrome lion. I actually recreated that last year, I think, somewhere on my channel. Last year or the year before. So I feel like this set is pretty chill and calm compared to what I've done the last couple years. Like, I went so extra with those, with all the rhinestones and the charms and everything. And like, I thought about doing something like that again, where I did a bunch of rhinestones and stuff, because I feel like that's pretty common for birthday nails to do like a lot of bling and like rhinestones and charms and stuff for birthday nails. But I just really wasn't feeling it. I'm not really a huge fan of doing like rhinestone placement and all of that. I'm not the greatest at it, so I don't really like doing it myself. I love how it looks and I love how other people do rhinestone placements and everything, but for me, I just struggle so much and it's not enjoyable, so I don't do it too often. And I didn't really want to do that again this year. So yeah, it was a little bit of a struggle trying to figure out what I was going to do with this middle nail here. I do want to say I actually ended up redoing this swirl part because I didn't like how it was looking. I didn't show myself redoing it though. You just see me doing it here the first time, and then I did go off camera and wipe it off and redo it, and it ended. I liked it a lot better the second time. The first time I did it here, it wasn't too bad, but I don't know, I just wasn't feeling how it was looking. I definitely like how it looks the second time a lot more than the first time here. So what you see here is going to end up looking different in the end, or in a little bit, because after I fixed it, I did come back to show me doing the rest of the nails. I just redid this part off camera. So yeah, but also another reason why I was struggling trying to figure out what to do for my birthday nails is because I was struggling with burnout so bad these past few months. I was trying to ignore it and like just work through it, but I got to the point where it was so bad, like I couldn't come up with any ideas. I did ask for ideas over on my community tab, which I did get some good ideas there. But at the same time, because I was dealing with the burnout, I was like, I don't want to do any of these. I didn't want to do any of the ideas that I was coming up with. And then the stuff that I was doing, I wasn't really liking it or really happy with it. And I just felt like I was rushing to get through and like film the stuff just so I could, you know, get it done and get it out for you guys. And I just haven't really been super happy with the work that I've been doing the past couple months or so. I mean, I know I took all of July off to like kind of step back and regather myself and you know, take a break. Like I said, I was trying to just work through it, and hopefully, you know, that creative spark would come back to me as I'm trying to work through it, but that doesn't work for me. Whenever I do go through burnout, I do just have to stop and take a step back and kind of just take a break and reevaluate things and, like, you know, try and find that spark again, I guess. So I did take a break. I will say that all of the videos besides my 2 birthday nails, because I am splitting my birthday nails video into 2 separate videos. This one, which is doing my left hand, and then the next one, which is doing my right hand. I am going to upload them both today, or not today, tomorrow. Well, I will upload them today, but they'll be scheduled for you guys to watch tomorrow, which is Saturday. So 2 videos for Saturday, which is actually the day before my birthday. My birthday is on Sunday. I like pushed off doing these nails till the last minute, and I kind of regret it. I kept pushing them off because I was a little intimidated on doing these, even though I've done both of the paintings before, but I've done them on paper and like canvas and stuff. Never have I done it on my nails, so it was a little intimidating, and like such a small scale on a different type of surface with a different type of medium, so it was a little nerve-wracking to do these super recognizable, famous paintings on my nails. I always get nervous when I do whenever I do something like this where it's supposed to be, you know, super recognizable, like all my character art and stuff like that, or like the other paintings that I've done. I do get nervous because I'm like, ugh, what if it ends up looking so bad you can't even tell what it's supposed to be? It's never been that bad. I mean, that Disney set that I did for Halloween a couple years ago was pretty bad, but you could still tell who the characters were supposed to be. They just looked like, you know, the Temu version, the Wish version of those characters. But anyhow, I don't know where I was going with that. I do want to say that after I got the nails done, I did cure for about 30 seconds before moving on to the next nail. And then once I finished these 4 nails, I did go ahead and do a full 60-second cure to make sure everything was completely cured. And then when I did my thumb off camera, I did do a full 60-second cure since I was just curing that on its own. And that was the last nail that I had to do. But yeah, like I said earlier, I'm not doing any kind of flash curing in between, doing more of a wet on wet technique to create and keep those like streaky looking like brush strokes, and just kind of going back and forth, adding the colors that I see fit. I am like following kind of the actual painting. Like I have it up on my other phone, a reference picture of it. And I am like trying to follow the basics of it, but also it's not exact to that painting, because like it's kind of impossible to recreate someone else's work. Even it's also almost impossible to recreate your own work exactly how it looked the first time you did it. Like you could do the same thing over and over and over again, and there are going to be slight little variations each time you do it. And that's just how it is, because, you know, we're humans, we're not printers. And we don't, like, that's just human nature, you know? You don't do the same exact thing every single time. Also, when you do it the second, third, fourth, fifth time, like, you learn something new each time. And it kind of changes how you do it the next time to try, so you can try and improve what you're doing for the next time, you know? So, yeah, it's not exact. I mean, which is fine. It looks pretty close. I mean, you can tell what it is. Pretty similar. But like I said, it's not exact. I wasn't even really, like, trying to go for exact either. Just kind of, like, make it look as similar to the painting as possible as I could. Since, you know, like I said, I can't recreate exactly how Van Gogh did it. And probably even if he were to have done this painting again, I think he actually did do another... Oh, I just dropped that. Sorry. I think he did do another version of the Starry Night his Starry Night painting, and it looks different than this one. But like I said, even if he were to try and recreate this one this exact same painting, it would still probably look different the second, third, fourth time he did it. So, anyhow, I've just kind of been rambling on. I feel like I don't really have anything to say, and I don't really have much to explain when it comes to this. Like, I explained it as best as I could. I feel like watching it kind of shows you a little bit better. What was I gonna say? There was something I wanted to mention, but I can't. Oh, the videos for this month. I started talking about it a little bit earlier. Those were all, like I said, I was doing those while trying to just work through the burnout instead of taking a break. And it was such a struggle to do all those. Like, I remember saying they were all filmed back in June, with the intention of them all getting uploaded in July. That didn't happen, but so like I said, I was working through the burnout, and I feel like it was obvious that I wasn't feeling doing any of these sets. I also kind of feel like in my voiceovers, you can kind of tell that I just was not feeling it. At least I feel that way. Like, when I listen back to it, like, I can tell that I was just not into it. I don't know how you guys will interpret that, but maybe now that I mentioned it, you'll go and watch them and be like, oh yeah, it's pretty obvious you weren't into it. But anyhow, like I said, I feel like it's obvious within the work that I was doing, and the quality of the sets that I was doing, it just wasn't there. It wasn't really up to my standards of, like, what I expect of myself. And they're not that great. I mean, they're all right, but they could be better. And I went on a rant in one of those videos. I think it's the gumball video. Whenever that one goes up, I went on a rant about burnout, because that was like the last video that I filmed and edited before I finally decided to just stop and take a break, because I was not feeling it at all. Like, it was so sad to me, because I love doing nail art. I love doing art in general. And just going through that burnout and, like, not wanting to do anything and not wanting to do nail art and just kind of hating it at the moment was really bumming me out. And so, yeah, that's why I had to take a step back. But that being said, because I do feel like those videos aren't that great and those like sets aren't all that great in my opinion, I do want to apologize for that. It's not really work that I like putting out, but I do put it out. Even if I don't really care for the work that I put out, I do put it out because I feel like it could be a learning experience for someone, because I can, you know, go in and talk about what I did, how I did it, things that I would change and stuff. And like also just watching someone do things can be kind of helpful, even if it's like not the best, you know, like you can kind of see and get an idea, or like see a new technique and be like, oh, I want to kind of try that, you know. So that's why I just, even if I'm not a huge fan of the work that I'm doing, I still upload it because I can still give like tips and tricks and stuff and whatever, and hopefully help someone out. Also, it helps to show that, like, you know, not everything you're gonna do is gonna be something that you are absolutely obsessed with. Sometimes when you do some art, whether it's nail art or, you know, traditional painting or drawing or sculpting or whatever you do, you're not always going to be in love with everything you do. So I do think it's important for me to show those times when I'm not happy with stuff. So then, you know, other people, you guys, when you do something and you're not happy with it, you don't feel as bad, because then you know, like, okay, there's other people that don't feel bad, or that do feel bad about their work and they're not super happy with it all the time. Because I just feel like sometimes on like social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok and everything, everyone always just shows like, you know, the stuff that they're super proud of, and they don't show like their mess ups or the sets that they don't really care for. And like, I feel like it's important to see that, to show to everyone, beginners, advanced, intermediates, wherever you are in your nail art journey, that it's okay to not like something that you did, because that is a learning experience and you can take that and use it to improve your art, you know? Anyhow, now that I've went on that whole rant, I'm just going in with my LGN top coat and applying that to all the nails, and then I did cure that for a full 60 seconds, and this is the finished result. I am so happy with this set. This is definitely my favorite set that I have done ever. Partially because this is my favorite one of my favorite paintings ever. Like I said, my other favorite painting I'm doing on my right hand. Ooh, I also top coated the undersides with a hollow top coat, and I just wanted to show that real quick. But anyhow, this is my absolute favorite set that I have done, because this is my favorite painting that this is my favorite painting ever, and I do really love it. I also am super happy with how it came out. Like, it came out so good. Like I said earlier, I was a little nervous about how it was gonna come out, just because, you know, different mediums on a smaller scale can be a little nerve-wracking, but it came out so good and I'm so happy with it. I'm so glad that this is what I decided to do for my birthday set. I am so in love with it, and it's definitely, like, it's my favorite set ever that I have done. It's also my favorite birthday set that I have ever done. I'm going to be so sad when I have to clip these off, because I'm going to clip off like half of it. But anyhow, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.